Okay, it's 10 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Agenda, any additions or deletions? I have one addition I'm going to walk on because I just got it the other day, and that is for in camera. It'll be water, and we'll make it 10.5. Anybody have anything else? Dustin's moving the agenda with the addition. Vote. It's carried. 3.1 minutes. Everybody read the minutes from last time? Richard's moving them. Any questions on them? Vote. It's carried. 5.1, Mike. Oh, you're not.
Make that work. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call on Joe Cochran to introduce this.
Yeah, close enough. Good morning, Council, through the chair.
Right. First mistake and not the last.
I've been called a lot worse, Mr. Council.
You better turn your name tag just a little.
You've been on holidays, it's okay.
I'd like to move that Council move the first reading of bylaw 2024/17. Essentially, the bylaw is to reclassify existing parcel in the hamlet of 7 persons from residential district to public services district. The property in question is the old fire hall. That area is now being leased by Prairie Rose School Division, and as part of that, they're looking to move a couple of sea cans on, which is not allowed under hamlet residential. But the previous land use bylaw, that public services area was sufficient under hamlet residential. There'll be a number of these coming through when we do the next update to the land use bylaw.
Okay, thank you. Dustin's moving it. Any questions on it? Vote. That's carried. 6.1, operation. Mike?
Let's hope I can get the name right on this one. Mr. Hubbard will lead us on this. Mr. Taves is away.
So in front of you is the August 2024 financial report, expenditures and, revenues and expenditures. And I'm able to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Paul. Anybody have any questions on it? Keith?
To the chair. I have a question on the fire revenue. Would you explain that variance?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor. The fire department has been quite good at billing out to Alberta Transportation and other parties with regard to fire calls, and so that revenue reflects the revenue to date. Does not reflect the fire deployment to wildfires in the north yet. We're waiting on that. We haven't got all the information just quite yet for that.
So this would be over and above what we budgeted then?
So through the chair, yes, it is over. It is over the budget. I think it was quite conservative, the number that we budgeted for. Finance has had conversations with fire with regards to potentially making a change to what the projected revenue would be for 2025. To date, they've certainly done very well from a revenue perspective. So, yeah.
Shane?
Under planning and development, with the wind and solar projects, are they, we're not chasing them for payment, they're keeping their bills paid up? Because it says, we're being, salary and the contracted services are approximately 54,000 for wind and solar project, which to be billed back to the developers. The developers are paying their bills, or we chasing?
So through the chair, the developers are paying their bills. We are just going to be doing billing out this quarter. So those bills that were incurred in August and in September will be billed out to the developers at this point in time at the end of September.
Any other questions? Seeing any? Keith was the one that asked the first question, so he's going to move to operating. Vote. That's carried. CAO report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This report was put together last week after I'd been back for only a couple of days, so it doesn't have any of my content in it. I had really nothing to say after 2 or 3 days, and certainly be glad to take any questions that you've got, and I'll assign them to people whose names I'll try to remember.
Any questions? I'd gone through the whole thing. It was pretty self-explanatory. Lloyd?
Ken, on the Eagle Butte there, do you have a rough date that that road's going to be repaired at? I know it's in here someplace. I was trying to find it again.
Through the chair, you're referring to the Eagle Butte south of Little Bloom?
Yes.
Or just, we're looking at some dips from this side to Dunmore with some settlements? Or what are you exactly referring to?
The one, I thought it was far south of the Little Plume down.
On the oiled section, through the chair? Yeah, we do have, we're not quite done our oiling program this year. We do have that on our list down there to do those repairs. Currently, they've been working on the black and white, and they should be finishing up soon. So if that answers your question.
Richard?
I was talking to Michelle yesterday, and we were talking about the workshops for community associations, and unfortunately, Schuler only had 2 people apply to be on there, and is there, like, what is the minimum number that it would take to get this workshop held? We talked about maybe trying to get them to join up with another municipality, but when you're out in that farther end, it makes it tough. So, but they still need to have a workshop, I think, so.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, I probably shouldn't put this out there because I'm not totally positive, but I believe Beth said that they looked for about a minimum of 8 and would prefer to have up to 20 to have the Government of Alberta representative come down. So yeah, if we can look for some partnerships from some other areas, I think that's what we're trying to do now.
Okay, so I interpret it wrong. It wasn't us, it's the government that wants a minimum.
Correct. The facilitator was from GOA.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, well that,
Beth and I would be more than happy to give, and the next one coming up that Beth will be facilitating, we'll run with any number.
okay, yeah, that makes it easier to understand then, so we can pass that on.
Thank you.
Shane?
Yeah, through the chair to Public Works, under the utilities, the Suffield supply line, do you see, I mean, we're hoping for construction in 2025 with the tender going out this fall, but do you see that maybe the First Nations consultation is holding it up more, or is it proceeding well?
Through the chair. With regards to the First Nations consultations, it was more for the water line, the new route, and there was some areas identified in there for background. And we're just working through the band right now about an avoidance strategy. We're just waiting to meet them on site. It's just they're out of Lethbridge, so there's a little bit of timing and stuff like that. Once that's figured out, then we have all the documents in place to go to Alberta Environment for that approval. So approval upon approval, but we have to do it in the steps that were taken.
You're still hoping for this fall then?
We are hoping for this fall. We just received preliminary estimates on, call it 90% on the design for both. So we're just looking at that budget now and to see where it all fits in. And our hope with the water line, we think it's going to come in less than for the water line, but we're not sure about the reservoir and pumps at this stage. So we want to bring an update to council in a future meeting of the whole project, where it's at, what we've done, and where we're going, and some timelines in the future meeting.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Richard?
I see where staff is working on budget for this fall, both capital and operating, and of course, my question is more on capital. Some of our wards have a bit of a wish list as to what some of the ratepayers would like to have done. So do we just make the list ourselves and then email it to Mike, and then you can look at it? Or like, where are you getting the ideas from for what you're going to do for capital spending?
Through the chair, most of these are part of a 5-year rolling list that they just continue on. As they get built, they get knocked off. I think once council sees the list, if you see something glaringly missing, then please let me know.
Good. This way I can answer my ratepayers. Thank you.
I think some of the things have been asked over the year, they've been putting on a list, so it can come up at budget time.
I have one more question.
Lloyd?
Yeah, to Joe, I'm just wondering, do we have a bylaw for model planes or drones flying near or over main roads at low altitudes, like 40 feet? Does the county have anything?
I don't believe the county specifically has a bylaw. Drone usage, though, is under the Transport Canada, yeah, would have legislation and jurisdiction on where drones can and can't fly in heights.
I do remember the RCMP telling us that we can't shoot them down if they're over our place. That's supposedly illegal, so. Unless you, yeah, if you get caught. Anyway, that's what we got told at one of those meetings, so. Just because there might be a little redneck going on. No, okay. The other thing is, well, I've got the chair. When I was out in Seven Persons at the a meeting the other day, a couple of people come up and complimented us on how well the hamlet looks with the mowing that's going on. They're really, really pleased with what was being done. Said the best they've ever seen. So pass that on, please.
Okay, any other questions? Lloyd was the first question, so Lloyd's going to move the report. Any other questions? Vote. That's carried. Reeve and council reports, I don't have anything else to add, it's in there. Start with Keith.
So aside from the regular council meeting, I attended the PEP meeting last Friday. Beth contributed to that with a report on the Ag Conference. I was pleased to see that the attendance has been, the selling of tickets for attendance is up, and it sounds like it's going to be a really good conference. Over the lunch hour, we took a tour of Rock Modular Homes, 135 employees. I was in just their presentation, they have a couple of things to note. A huge commitment to a completion date. I was really impressed. Like, if your completion date is 1 year from now, and that's what they agree to, it will be done. It was quite interesting to see that. Another thing I picked up on was the general attitude of the employees seemed to be, you were happy to work there. So I thought, 135 employees in a town the size of Wyland, that's a sizable workforce. And it's kind of neat to see how they put all those modulars together and build them in the factory and take them and set them in place, and everything comes together. So it was a really good tour. Had a conversation with a landowner on Highway 3, on land just outside of 7 persons. They're fairly upset about the width of the right-of-way, the impact on the overall impact that it's going to have on them, on their land. I don't think it's anything that wasn't raised at the town hall meetings, and but just interesting to, I guess, to see what comes out of this now. So other than that, fairly quiet for now.
Thank you, Keith. Michelle?
Well, after having a pretty easy summer, the last couple of weeks have been busy. We finished up working on the Schuler Senior Transport Grant, and it's all in. So we're just waiting to see what's going to happen with that. I had a Cypress View policy meeting, an MPC meeting. I attended both open houses for the twinning of Highway 3. Both had really good turnouts. It was good to see that many people come out. And then I went to Edmonton and had our FCSS AA meeting for the month, and everybody is really excited about the conference, and that's pretty much all it was about. And, oh yeah, everything else is coming. It hasn't happened yet, so we're good.
Justin?
Attended the 7 persons open house for Highway 3. Lots of good conversation. I think some people maybe got a little bit cleared up. It'll be real interesting to see when they come out with the finalized plans in the spring as to what they actually want to do. So hope for the best and see what happens.
Wayne?
Yeah, I also attended the open house at 7 persons on the Highway 3 twinning. There again, lots of participation. It was good to see a lot of people out and voicing their opinions. On the 12th, we had a library meeting at the Graham Library. We finalized the budget there. Stephanie also reported that they are planning on some programming at Jenner in appreciation of the communities, of their community support to the library, demonstrating the use of the money they get from the county. So they're quite happy with the money they get, and they're using it to full advantage, so it's good. Irvin continues to have great support as well, and they're planning on a few things. They're planning on a painting night, and also the Southeastern Alberta Crime Watch Association is coming out to do a come and go informational evening at the resource center, so lots of activity going on down there, so that's great. Last night attended the Irvin Ag Society meeting, and they are also planning an entertainment event sometime this fall, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Sounds like it'll be a good time. That's about it.
Thanks, Boyd. Richard?
I got a few pages here. Do you want to let them fill their coffee or just? Okay.
Don't worry, I can turn your mic off.
I'll talk fast. Tuesday, September 10th, I attended a Verge meeting in Bow Island. Faster, he says. Quite a bit of time was spent on discussing the development of an updated strategic plan In the afternoon, I attended the Highway 3 open house at the college. On the 11th, I attended the Highway 3 open house at Seven Persons Hall. On the 12th, I attended a business advisory committee meeting at the Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to read my report that I gave them because they're asking if it would be okay with council if they put it in their report, in their minutes. So I started out with saying we have two open houses. We had two open houses. Fortunate to have the South Regional Director for Alberta Transportation, Darren Davidson, present at both events. It's not always that there is somebody from a high position in the government that comes to an open house. The firm ISL were also present. This is the consulting and engineering firm that is being hired to stage the public hearings and prepare a report for Alberta Transportation and the public. The concept drawings caused confusion and concerns for many of the residents. The plans call for limiting access to the new highway by putting in service roads across numerous properties. This will definitely disrupt some residents, and we can understand their concerns. Cypress County has expressed, I guess we as councillors expressed our concerns, and I know staff was there too, so about adding more roads for us to maintain, and we're also concerned about the increase that in the dust that would be created. I got asked if we're going to support the Hamlet of Seven Persons and their ask of not moving or building the new 4-lane highway at 1 mile north. This would definitely could or would have a negative effect on the residents. My reply was that I was supporting them. Residents are voicing their concerns, and we are all looking forward to the next open house, which will provide clarification on a lot of the concerns and issues raised. And I just wanted to throw in some of my thoughts. At that meeting, like those open houses, it's understandable when you're asking people to change the way they live, or that could change the way they live, how they're going to be affected. Yes, it's for the greater good, is what we're always told, but it is definitely could be hard on them. And but we as councillors, I feel, and this is for the public, we have our positions that we have to look after, I guess, maintain. So my job is to make sure our ratepayers' concerns are being heard, which I think we do a pretty good job. My job is to voice councillors' concerns. My job is not to beat up the consultants or any government people in attendance. They are not the people that came up with the concept and design, especially in this case. We're looking at back from 2013, so they have to start someplace. And if their bosses say, here's what you start out with, they don't have, I'm feeling, a lot of choice in it. That's where the discussions come in, but I feel it is important that as councillors we maintain a respectful dialogue, and that also Cypress County has current and future projects. One example is the Highway 41 South that will only move forward if our dialogue remains respectful. So that's my position, and yeah, thank you for listening.
So that's one you gave to the chamber?
Not yet. They would like if I can, I didn't give them the last part. I just gave them the first part about what we did. But I'll give it to you, and then if you want to move it forward, if everybody's okay with it, because that would go out to the chamber members. So, do you want me to make it maybe into an email, and then, or I'll say what I could give it to Dan, and then he can decide. Or I don't know how you want to do it. So I'll give you food for thought. Anyway, I'm not done yet. Well, he's working me like a rented mule, this guy. I traveled to Bow Island and attended a PEP meeting in the morning with Keith was there, and then a Mayors and Reeves meeting in the afternoon. And yes, we did tour Rock Modular. This is a company that does multifamily and residential, affordable housing, hotels, senior housing. It's unbelievable, the product that they ship out. It's, they deliver to the site, they assemble it, and they can do a turnaround in 6 months, actually, right, Keith? If the order comes in, within 6 months, that product will be on the site. And they ship all over the place. They're doing a lot of work in BC, and they've got quite an order list going. And then yesterday, I was in a subdivision and appeal board meeting, so it's been great. It's busy, and I like it. Thanks.
Lloyd?
That's a good report, Richard. Well, mine's pretty short. Attended the MPC, the landfill, the library meeting, and really impressed with the library out there. We got a tour of it. That's the first time I've been there. And they showed us that 3D computer, what it makes, and that is really amazing what they can do with that thing. And no, it was good. And then just some phone calls, the usual stuff about the Eagle Butte and the 41, and that's about it.
Gene?
Yeah, I had another Red Cliff Rec Board meeting, had a Highway 320 meeting up in Lethbridge, and I attended the open house in 7 persons, had numerous phone calls about Highway 320 and the design and, you know, some people have pointed out that designs can be changed. If you look back in the 2013 report, it doesn't even call for it to be twinned, that the traffic numbers aren't there, things have changed. A lot of it brought up, you know, the design, we're showing that it won't be a freeway. It's not a freeway. Doubt if it ever will be. Don't have to move it past 7 persons. There won't be an interchange there. When the design was done, the 120 now is way busier than the highway. Forget what is it, Dustin, that goes to Many Berries? 886 or 9? 887. I missed it. Yeah, but I mean, I drive that road lots, and I can drive from 7 persons down to Many Berries and not meet nobody. So, I mean, designs can be changed. A lot of controversy about the service roads. Do they really need them? Designs can be changed. So I'll be interested to see what comes back from Alberta Transportation after all this consultation and the feedback they got out of them meetings. Some of it I know was a little heated with some residents and transportation, but I can understand it's their livelihood, and years ago nobody was told about these service roads. And that becomes a surprise. The 20, no, they always knew because some of the land was bought years and years ago for the highway to go on the north side there and in most of the way. So it's just very interesting to see what will happen out of there, and that's about it. Oh, and lots of phone calls too about muddy roads and lack of gravel, and did a bit of explanation that, yeah, we didn't gravel much when it was dry out, because then the gravel just all ends up in the ditch. So why gravel? Now we get a bunch of rain, gets pounded in, now it shows where we're lacking. But talking with Public Works, they are doing a good job of trying to catch up where it needs to be. Thanks.
Robin?
Thank you. It's been kind of a quieter last couple of weeks. We did do the ICF meeting on Thursday, which was good. I think that one of our key strategic items on our plan is to be a regional leader, and I'm proud of the position that we're taking as Cypress County in this process, and believe that there's going to be some exciting news coming forward here pretty soon. And Thursday, yeah, which is excellent. So really focusing on putting our best foot forward as a region, with the county taking the lead on that, which has been great.
Thank you. Michelle?
I forgot to add something. The annual Schuler Rust and Shine car show and trade show and pancake breakfast is on Saturday morning.
Any questions on the reports? Lloyd's moving the reports. Whoa. Well, he keeps opening his mouth, so. That's carried. 9.1, Mike.
I believe Leslie Ann's going to give a brief, and it's a brief. There we go.
Thank you through the chair. So annually, or well, actually twice a year, sometimes the ministers of the provincial government reach out to council asking if they wish to have a meeting, to have a one-on-one meeting with the minister. Once again, this is before you from the Minister of Transportation. It is not a guarantee of a meeting. However, if for council to submit their request. Just want to point out, at the August council meeting, MLA Wright's office requested that Cypress County identify its transportation priorities for submission to the minister's office, which we did. Those submissions were the same as what was presented during the spring convention where we met with the minister. Given that there's been no changes or new development regarding the county's transportation priorities, administration is not recommending scheduling a meeting. However, that is more than within council's purview if they choose to direct us that way. So it's before you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. I think we've met with transportation quite a bit. There's other people that might need a chance to get in there, so. Rob?
I think that, just kind of going off of what Deputy Reeve Oster was saying with regards to our role being to communicate and represent some of the needs, I think that if we have the opportunity to meet with them, I think we should do it. And I think that that's the perfect opportunity when we talk about redesign and things like that. The way that provincial and federal government work, it's really hard to change the design at the director level or at the foreman level. But when you're able to talk with the minister and say, hey, listen, as you are aware, we've been doing these consultations. Your staff have been amazing. They've been great to work with. They're helping us out with all these different things. Here's what we're hearing. Can you please, make sure that when you're talking with them, because if they can kind of give them the green light that, hey, we might want to do a little bit of a change or a shift. Hey, Shane, that's where kind of some of those permissions are given to. So I wouldn't give up that opportunity too quickly.
Shane?
I agree. The more we're in front of them, the better. And it has happened now lately on Highway 3 with Grant Hunter getting involved where they were going to go around Grassy Lake, and now they're really seriously at the last moment here looking at coming through Grassy Lake after some consultation. So I feel the more we're in front of them, the more we say, we bring up, don't forget about Highway 41. You did your speeches on it. We got to stay in front of them. And the more we do it, I feel the better off we are. So I don't want to miss the opportunity.
We can apply for it. Nothing to say we're going to get the spot. We've had them before, so. Lloyd?
No, I was just going to say I agree with the two councillors, especially both highways. I think it'd be important to talk to them.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Blaine.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think, it gives us perfect time if we, if the application or whatever goes through, gives us time to be able to talk to them and just thank them for listening to us and, about what we suggested and not adding more, just, reiterate what we heard at the open houses and thank them for having that. And, I think it's be a great thing to have.
Okay. Leslie Ann?
If council chooses to go that way, are you happy with me resubmitting the same 3 priorities that I have highlighted on there? Because I do know that they rank them between the municipalities, so if there's anything else council would like me to add or elaborate on.
I think me too.
Okay. Motion to go forward with the meeting. Who's making it?
question. The, does water still fall under transportation? So water's, is it through infrastructure now, or?
No, it is transportation. Yeah.
Yeah, so that may not be a bad one to put in there. Like STIP funding is good. We know that that's a model that's being worked on, but even just, with regards to some of the different water projects that we're doing, it may not be a bad idea to put water and potential funding on that.
Is there anything that you'd like me to pinpoint for that we could elaborate on? Sometimes we do, if we're successful, administration does up a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation that they take back, which they've found quite helpful. So if there's anything,
I think that,
or just general.
if like water for right, oh yes, it's water, I almost said water for life. Water for life, and specifically what that applies to, and I know that we have agriculture and irrigation. I think does irrigation fall under ag? I believe, yeah, it is. And so that is maybe a little bit different, but you look at the potential project for Cabin Lake or anything like that, just so that we understand a little bit better too, and can have some conversations about the ideas that we're having, so that we can streamline our approach. Yeah.
Keith's making that motion with adding the water. Vote. Carried. Welcome Center year-end report. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Through the chair, yeah, thanks for your support, continued support of the Welcome Center. Not a very long report to give this year, in the sense that there's not much to change this year from last year. We added cash, so we actually ended up more than doubling our sales again. The Badlands Boutique has been fantastic. We just keep getting more and more vendors, more and more people wanting to be partnering and getting their wares out there, and they're selling, so that's great. We added maps. Those yellow maps you get at convenience stores, the map art program. Again, tremendous addition. Sold a lot of those. It is too bad that the provincial government doesn't print their own maps anymore, which is why that we went that way to add the map art program this year. But aside from some negative comments that we can't do anything about that, we're doing the best we can out there. You probably saw, actually I've got a correction on the very first chart. Actually, we got the numbers wrong there. On overall trends, the numbers are correct, but the actual chart, it's 5,475 total visitors this year and 2,476 visiting parties, as opposed to 1,549 and 3,435 that we had set up there originally. So my apologies for that. Pretty straightforward, pretty much the same number of people as we had in 2023, more sales, lots of positive comments from the public and visitors coming through that we're meeting a need. Everything's clean out there, excellent staff. I let them do the job for the most part, and I think they do a great job, but that's just my opinion. If anybody has any questions through the chair, thanks for your support again.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Robin?
Thanks, Sean. Through the chair, the question I have is, we talk about we sold more, and do we have numbers on what we've had for sales? I really liked that idea of the $5 coupon book. I think that's great. Is there any tracking that's done on that? Like, I know when we first talked about it, the idea of being able to have these partnerships with, like, I think Harley even had a 25% discount with that, which is huge. But it would be really nice if, as a part of being in that program, they, had to just do one report at the end of the year saying, this is how much was spent as a result of that. What is our ability to track, and do we have a track record that we could see with regards to what those sales have been, are currently, and where we want to take them?
Through the chair, yeah, absolutely. Beth runs that, and as the Welcome Center itself was one of the vendors, we were given a spreadsheet from her. So she's got all the tracking for that, and she'd be able to provide you with any information on that in the future.
I know one thing, sorry, just to add on that through the chair, we started realizing near the end of the season that we should be selling our own coupon books and telling people to use them on the spot. It was a pretty good deal.
Any other questions? Blaine?
No, it looks very positive. Again, I guess the only question I have is, was there anything that you highlighted that people said was missing or needed, or there was no real ask for that?
Through the chair, not really. I mean, aside from obviously the desire for more maps, but we can't really control what other people are printing. We're obviously, our staff were very smart and started coming up with ideas like a QR code book that people can come in and scan and just get the maps right on their phones that way. But the demographics are such that the people who want the printed maps want the printed maps. And if the fewer and fewer people are printing those out, there's not a lot we can do. Last year and the year before, I would print out here big maps of Alberta, and we would just give them out for free. But it got to the point where it was a lot. And so that's part of the reason why I came up and decided to do the map art program this year. We still gave out 8.5 by 11 maps of Alberta this year, but they were smaller than the 11 by 17s that I'd been giving out previous years, and people were happy to buy the yellow maps when they could.
Shane?
Did staff get any comments about people wishing that maybe there was a campground there?
Through the chair, yes, that did come up a couple times. We have heard that feedback, and of course, as everyone knows, at the moment, we don't actually own the property as the county. It's just on a lease year by year, so whatever would come in the future, I think. It sounds like we don't get a ton of feedback like that, like, you know, probably like a half dozen a year we get comments like that, but that's out of 5,500 people, so it's hard to say how much level of interest there really would be.
Lloyd?
Well, according to your report, sounds really good, and I'd like to thank you for it. And I think you did a great job, and the staff did a good job. Made us all look good. Thanks.
Chair, thank you, and just to add, most of this is not me. I put the finishing touches on it. It's the staff out there, our summer students, who do just a spectacular job of this and everything else they do out there.
Michelle?
Through the chair, are you selling the county merchandise out there?
The chair, yes, and I would say if you looked at the actual numbers, it's darn near half of what we sell out there is county merch, and we continue to offer that. We only sell it for cost, which is probably part of the reason it sells so well. Of course, we had the social media contest in the spring with the shirts, and they sold very, very well. So initiatives like that, I think, look good as a potential for the future as well. I definitely have some ideas around that, but yeah.
I was just asking because I've been, out and about wearing my Cypress County hoodie, and I have had people, where did you get that? So I know the interest is out there for the clothing.
Any other questions or comments? Michelle's moving the report. Vote. That's great. Thank you very much, Sean. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to move to go in camera. Thank you very much for coming. See you later. Richard's making that motion. Vote. That's carried. Sorry, guys, we're running a few minutes. We're just gonna take a 2-minute break because we got some old-timer bladders on here, so. I'll call the meeting back to order. Again, I'll apologize for running a little late today. We were just trying to get through everything so we could sit with you guys for lunch, so. The floor is yours.
Sounds good, thank you. So these reports will cover kind of the year end of the 2023, 2024 year, as well as the first quarter of this year. We got kind of busy over the summer and schedules just couldn't meet up so we could get here. But we did over this last little bit, we have a new commanding officer for the division, Deputy Commissioner Rob Hill, so I'm sure there's a little bit of a bio on that letter up there of his career throughout the RCMP, and he was officially sworn in last month, so you guys will probably, some of you might get to meet him during the RMA meetings later this year. With regards to the year-end statistics for the fourth quarter, kind of those similar decreases that we've seen in most areas of criminal offenses and activity. Redcliffe Detachment, we continue to monitor those bound by curfews and conditions. Surprisingly, there's a lot of people who we had on conditions, and during this quarter anyway, a lot of them were in custody. So that's kind of probably why there was a lull in some of the action going on out there. We still continue to liaise with our Southern Alberta District's Crime Reduction Unit, as well as Medicine Hat Police. They have some criminal analysts there too, so we're sharing information quite a bit, because most of our criminals that we see doing little activities out in the county, they're from the city or from elsewhere, and we kind of, if things going on out in the county, they're going on in the city as well with the same people. With regards to traffic enforcement, we saw a slight increase in manpower at our detachment during this period. So we had a few, I guess, operations that we could do that was traffic related. Part of the local provincial traffic unit, they're supposed to have a sergeant and 4 constables here in Redcliffe, and a corporal and 1 constable in Brooks, and it's kind of one unit. They've been operating for the last 6-7 months with a sergeant and 1 constable, so they're short about 6 members in their unit, and the reason they're short is they've all been redistributed and transferred out back to general duty positions, because that's where we have to have people more than we need them in traffic. We need them answering calls for service when you call 911. So we were lucky enough that we got one of their members transferred into our detachment, so he's working there now. But over that period, the Redcliffe RCMP issued 54 violation tickets, 32 were speeding, 3 distracted driving, 5 intersection related, and 14 other moving equipment violations. They also issued 9 warnings for a total of 68 violations in that quarter. That's in addition to what the traffic unit would have done, but they don't necessarily just work Cypress County. They would do 6 different detachment areas around the area, so they're spending maybe 1 day a week in our area. With regards to kind of rural crime in the communities and road safety, we do participate in a number of meetings with Citizens on Patrol, Rural Crime Watch. We did some presentations at the school, at the high school, for cyberbullying, impaired driving, distracted driving, and later on this afternoon I'm going back over to Eagle Butte to give a presentation on impaired driving again to the new group of grade 11s this year. And obviously Rebecca does DARE in the local elementary schools. The statistics throughout that quarter, towards the year end, we saw a decrease in most area of criminal activity. One of the areas that dropped, I guess, year over year changed. We've had a 14% drop in other criminal code, and person crimes were down by 33%. And like I said, traffic were slightly down or up compared to the same time in 2023, and collisions were down as well a little bit. Compared, instead of 61 collisions over that period, we had 47, so they're down a little bit. With our resources back in that quarter, we had, out of the 7 positions, the county positions, provincial positions, we had 8 people working. We had 1 position where they had 2 members in it, so that was a great time for us. We were hopeful for the summer, and then all of a sudden, June hit, and our resources, which I'll go over in the next quarter, they kind of plummeted a little bit. We lost one member back in April to a promotion to Bow Island Detachment, and that position for us is still vacant, so they haven't filled that position for us. With regards to kind of the new fiscal year, starting April right up until the end of June, one of the highlights they wanted us to bring up were the wildfires and our potential to have to deploy members from here to the wildfire deployment. With our resources and our shortages, they kind of let me only pick 2 weeks out of the whole summer where I had to kind of assign members to be on call and available to leave for those fires. Luckily, the 2 people I picked one in April or May, and they only had to be on call for a week and didn't get deployed because there were no fires then. And then I picked another one this September, way at the end, hoping that the fires would be over. They were on call and didn't get deployed either, so we didn't have to send anybody. So that was good for us. Another big thing they want us to remind everybody about for next year, starting in June, there's the G7 being held in Kananaskis, and that's going to require a significant amount of resources from all over the country. So we may end up losing several members from our detachment for several weeks during the month of June to go work the G7 summit out in Kananaskis as well. So those are kind of 2 areas that our resources are being stretched a little thinner for. With regards to meetings during the first quarter of this year, we had some joint forces meetings with Medicine Hat Police as well as the sheriffs. We've had some community connections. We've assisted with lockdown drills at the Eagle Butte High School. We also did, as I said, 3 presentations in the spring. One was for impaired driving, cyberbullying, and the other one was for distracted driving at Eagle Butte. We also had several meetings with the SEATS, Southeastern Alberta Traffic Safety Coalition, and we helped out with a bike rodeo in Redcliffe for Redcliffe Days. And we also had some visits to the elementary schools. I'll let Rebecca cover her involvement with those schools. So during that quarter, we saw traffic violations were down a little bit. We had 39 violation tickets issued, 71 violation tickets were issued, so that was up. 39 were for speeding, 2 for driving while unauthorized or suspended, 1 for distracted driving, 1 for seatbelts. And I mean, those numbers could be improved a little bit. However, with once I get to our resources, how they kind of plummeted for this quarter and this summer so far, this is actually pretty good in my view. Let Rebecca cover her Lock It or Lose It campaign that she did. One of the things that we saw during this quarter, we had a kind of a steady decline in property crimes as well. So we had 58% drop in break and enters, 43% drop in thefts of motor vehicles, 67% drop in theft over $5,000, 32% drop in thefts under $5,000, and a 53% drop in frauds, and a 47% drop in mischiefs, damage to property. But there was a 200% increase in us charging individuals for possession of property obtained by crime. So that's people that we might have dealt with that we ended up determining they had stolen property on them, and then we kind of traced it back where maybe the vehicles were stolen or property, but it wasn't in our area. Maybe they were in Medicine Hat. We caught them here. We have been having quite a bit of crossover coming from a corridor from Calgary all the way to here, and we're seeing a lot of criminal activity where the vehicle stolen in Calgary, it's being showed up here. We have a vehicle stolen here, it's being picked up in Brooks, and then we have another vehicle stolen in Brooks, it's picked up in the city, and then a city vehicle picked up out in the county, so they're moving all over the place. We did have a 22% increase over 2023 with charging people that are out on conditions for breaching their conditions. And we also had over the 5-year period, that ended up being an 83% increase over 5 years of people that were monitoring and charging. With regards to our resources, Since July of this year, we had 2 transfers from the provincial side of our resources, so we are now operating with 1 corporal, and we're supposed to have 5 constables under the provincial side, and we're pretty much operating with 3. So we're trying to fill those vacancies with overtime. That being said, sometimes we're getting people coming in from other detachments as far as ways Airdrie, Coaldale, just to fill our vacancies here. And it's not any different anywhere else. Our members are going to work Bow Island, Tabor, Coaldale, things like that when they're short too. So everybody's trying to share and help out, but the resourcing issues are not unique just to this area. As I was saying earlier, we had 1 member that was identified to be transferred here to fill one of those vacancies. They are trying to sell an acreage where they're from, and it's proving difficult for them to sell their house, so it's still waiting on them to come here. And we've had a couple other transfers fall through. So right now, our entire detachment of 15 members, which includes myself, 2 corporals, and 11 constables, and 1 12th constable with Rebecca in her enhanced position. We're operating with 3 hard vacancies, so those are positions that there's nobody in, and right now there's nobody earmarked to come other than the one that's waiting. And we have 1 long-term illness they've been out for almost 2 years, so that's another. So we have 4 vacancies. So when we look at 15 members, we're almost a third of our detachment are vacant right now. That's all I have, unless you have some specific questions about certain statistics or any other questions. I'll let Rebecca cover most of the community policing stuff.
Does anybody have any questions?
Can you tell me, I asked council today, we didn't have any bylaws for model planes or drones flying over like the 120 at about 30 or 40 feet high. Is there any federal regulations concerning that?
There's federal regulations with regards to drones if they're being flown near airports, and then you can't do that. And then there are some other rules surrounding the size of drones.
It's like 250 grams.
Yeah, the bigger the drone, the more certification you need to have to fly them. But if they're flying drones recreationally, they're a certain size. If they're smaller, and then there's some rules around it when you're flying near airports and things like that. But other than that, it's kind of, I don't think the laws have caught up with some of the stuff. And I mean, there'd be laws around if it's over private property and like privacy type things, but yeah, there's no.
But even then, they're allowed to, but you'd have to be able to articulate your privacy issues. You know, they're sticking around your bathroom window.
Or it's hovering by your window, or.
Yeah,
No.
I think it's 250 grams, so anything under that is allowed to fly pretty much anywhere other than 400 feet up.
Yeah, there's rules on how high, just because you don't want it to hit a plane or something that might be flying, but other than that, there's really no rules around them.
Transport Canada would be a good one to.
Any other questions? Rebecca.
All right, good afternoon, good morning, and good morning to the couple of new faces I see here. I'll be quick, I guess. I don't have much time. As usual, I think every month, every day, when Anna and myself are working together, we always have a daily conversation, and we are constantly updating ourselves with each other's going-ons and, you know, helping each other out. And I think, you know, being able to have the radio in my vehicle is a help when dealing with Anna and the fire department for sure. Yeah, going back all the way to January, I'll just kind of pick over some of the things that aren't part of my, you know, things that I do monthly or daily. Construction zone, there was some, on the 120 there were some few violation tickets issued there. So that was good. Sat in on the Boyer trial. Just felt invested in that, and I was glad to be there in the end. Urban DARE graduation, there was 2 classes of grade 6s, so a total of 50 DARE graduates that month. Attended the Urban Library grand opening. Pink Shirt Day, talk about bullying at some of the schools. I began my journey talking with UFA and Rural Crime Watch regarding my Lock It or Lose It campaign that I started here in Cypress County. I'll get into that right at the end there. I did work for the carbon tax protest down in Walsh, so I put in pretty much all my time there. Attended, I don't know if you've heard of Mulder, the victim services dog in Medicine Hat, who also assists us in interviews involving children especially. He retired, so I did attend his retirement party. It was pretty cool. There's a lot of dog stuff around. I also had the privilege of attending Ottawa for a week, where I rode, attended where all the ride people go to train and ride twice a day, with 80 horses to choose from, 80 black horses. By the end of the week, I was able to pick the one that I liked, and we put on a little show for, was it the warrant officers were all there for some sort of, or there was a lot of really high up RCMP people there for the week to do their own training, and so we were able to put on a little show for them. And, but I am now qualified to ride in local parades or grand openings, stuff like that. Yes, but my horse is not. So, so we've tried to connect a couple times, but she just has to come down from Airdrie. But she can honestly say from the videos and stuff that she's seen me ride my horse, and she feels very confident that's not a problem, but she just can't say by my videos. She's got to come down, yeah.
So if we give you a stick horse, would you change your mind?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, so that's good. So I'll be able to hopefully soon enough be able to ride. They supply the tack, so the English saddle, the blanket, the fancy bridle, and all that. It's also the RCMP, so it'll be, you know, that's something I can't keep. But anyways, they provide that, so it'll be similar to that, except in the red jacket. The lights, yeah. I know. So that was really cool. I mean, I could talk about that forever, about riding twice a day for a week, and just being with horse people. That was pretty cool, and doing chores and getting paid for it, so it's nice. So that was really fun. We should be able to get the horse done before winter. I feel very confident on that. 7-person family day parade. That has been a staple. I think I've been able to attend that since that's kind of started. The dunk tank for the Mavericks. I tried to get pictures, but I didn't ask too much, to say the least. I just kind of mentioned it. I didn't. I'm sure there's some out there, but that I did proceeds for search and rescue, so they had a dunk tank set up at the Mavericks field there. You know, just my regular patrols at the Welcome Center, Gavin Lake, and Sandy Point. I did attend the Elkwater tabletop exercise with Cypress County Fire as on behalf of the RCMP, and it was very interesting to hear some of the things and some of the things that need to be worked on and stuff. Did gave Red Cliff School a tour of the detachment. That was all fun. So this Lock It or Lose It campaign, I'm sure you've all heard of it. Calgary has, city has it, stuff like that, where they go around and, you know, it's a lock it or lose it type thing. I thought, you know, I'm often patrolling the rural roads, and I often see vehicles on the side of the road very close into approach and stuff, and windows open, and that's where we run into problems, because those are the vehicles that they take, and then we never know what we're looking for 5 minutes later, and then they take another one, and it's basically, you know, they're just easy takings, I guess. And so I thought, why don't I just do this in the country? And I made up a little thing here. It's got some vehicle theft protection tips on the side, and a little thing on the front there that says, you know, somebody can steal your vehicle within 30 seconds, and 9 out of 10 vehicles are stolen are trucks. So yeah, and then so I quickly check. I wasn't going too far into fields, but if it was definitely in walking distance, I'd go check to see if it was locked or unlocked, if there's valuables inside, stuff like that. Windows were open. I didn't do any search of the vehicles or anything like that, just the basic open the door and close, and, you know, stuff like that. And if it was locked, we had, together with the Rural Crime Watch, who has donated these little lanyards that I was hanging, or leaving with the vehicle, and some gift cards for some ice cream, camp ice cream in Medicine Hat. I would leave a thing saying to call the detachment, and we'd give you that out. Anyways, I was away for some of the busy seasons and stuff, and I thought I would get more, but it was close to 20 vehicles that I checked, and in the end, there was 14 that were totally accessible. I mean, I had a truck on the highway. I'm like hooked up to a really nice stock trailer, brand new white dually truck, and I'm like, yes, this is my first one that's going to be locked. I'm going to be able to give out a congratulations. Like, they'll open the door, lights on the truck came and the trailer, and everything's hooked up, ready to go. And I'm like, and not a person in sight, no cowboy around. Out riding, checking the cows, I guess. So that was kind of my bigger shocker, because that was a whole new unit. So there was 3 that were, there was no keys in it, in visible sight, but they were unlocked. So I could not see the keys. And 2 that were locked. So yeah, it was very interesting. I'm just going to kind of continue with it. I have these with me, and I'm not going to stop just because, you know, harvest is just about over and stuff. So yeah, just keep, you know, making it aware of the consequences of it and stuff. So that was basically my summer.
Any questions or comments?
I have a question. What if you wanted it stolen?
Yeah. Could be, but in situations, it just doesn't help us in the end, you know, for sure. But, you know, some people say that, yes. And, you know, they're like, well, you know, what are we supposed to do? There's lots of things to do, you know, leave the keys somewhere under a rock or something beside the third post or something, you know, there's a whole bunch of different ways, but yeah, it was interesting. I mean, some had quads on the back. I could see, I think she was just checking some property, and I could see her walking the tree line, and eventually, it was the time I got up to where her truck was parked, she could not see me, so that was totally unlocked, and she had a lot of work stuff, like she was for some company checking out something, lots of stuff inside and quad on the back, and it was interesting.
You get distracted, right?
Yeah.
That's a good reminder.
But, yeah.
Even hiding.
That's a good idea.
Think and know where to hide keys to.
I didn't check, but for the
People
ones that I
check the
didn't
gas
see
tank
keys,
and
yeah.
tap, and then they're gone with your truck, and you're like, oh.
I didn't go that far to check if I could find the keys, but, yeah, it was interesting.
Everybody's too trusting.
It's not the same person that leaves it there, it's gonna take it home, so you gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That the one I heard in the car wash?
Is there any other questions?
Guys are doing great.
Yeah. Appreciate you having being out there.
Yep. Thanks for the report. We always enjoy getting it.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah. Soon.
Okay, you're more than welcome to join us for lunch. And I do believe that's meeting adjourned. Thank you. Well, if I could keep Richard off of there, we would have been